most of us here in this channel, most of us, not all of us, most of us, 80% of us maybe, are idealists. I'm definitely an idealist. We strive to make the world around us as perfect and as harmonious as possible, right? So, a lot of us here, we want to stop the violence and stop killing the animals and see the world do better, see everything happier. Like in your ideal world, certainly in my ideal world, everybody's happy, everybody's fulfilled, everybody's got a big genuine smile on, right? That I'm an idealist, so that's my ideal. My ideal is that's the world I'd like to live in. I'd like to live in a world where everybody around me, regardless, nobody, no exceptions, is is sponsoring a big, giant, genuine smile, and it's full of joy and happiness and beauty and all that good stuff, right? And so all that comes with that type of ideal, right? And everybody's getting along. There's no wars. There's no political boundaries. No, this is my country, that's my country. Total love, total unity, total oneness, total embracing, right? That's all like the ideals of let's call them the hippies. That's just a loose term for idealists, essentially, right? And in the 60s, you had all these hippies popping up. They were idealists. They had these new ideals. Bob Marley with his unitive music, one love, and all that the idealists, people who have these ideals. And then you get the realists, right, who say, well, no, like you can't, this is the way it is, man, that's the way it is, that's the way it is, it's just the way it is, the world's fucked up, it's the way it is. And then what are you gonna do if you can't beat them? Join them, right? If you can't beat them, join them. Well, here's what you gotta understand. There was such a time where everything was ideal. Everything, no exceptions, was pure harmony. And the Hindus, who, by the way, have a lot you can learn from, that I can learn from, lots of wisdom in the Indian philosophies. I'm revisiting a lot of these philosophies again now, and man, they're pretty. There's a lot of wisdom in the Vedas. There's a lot of wisdom in different yogic traditions, and really, it's a lot of wisdom. So they tell us that there are 4 cycles to time. Okay, time here. And so we go through 4 natural cycles, and the first one is, and the original one is Sat Yuga, the age of truth, the age of enlightenment. And that's the ideal. That's where everything is ideal. And that's where by the way, the Sat Yuga, the age of truth, is the longest one in the Hindu cycle of time. And so we're in the 4th one right now, which is the least. They call it the age of darkness, Kali Yuga, the age of darkness. Okay, where they say virtue is only 25%. So there is 75% vice, 25% virtue. Whereas in the Sat Yuga, there's 100% purity and truth and love and unity. And so it's an idealistic world, and that's the longest one, folks. That's the longest one. Kali Yuga is the shortest one. And even in the Kali Yuga, there's still 25% virtue. So there's always virtue, there's always truth, there's always purity, there's always harmony, pure harmony. So we, the idealist people, which is again most of you guys watching this, we're not talking out of our ass. We're here in many ways to move the world back into that place. So we have to be idealists. We have to be idealists, and then we have to be pragmatics. What's the pragmatism? The pragmatism is not being a realist. Like, this is just the way it is. Like, if you can't beat them, join them. No. Pragmatism is simply looking at where the world is and what are the next necessary steps to move that world in that direction. To give you a small example here, it's gonna make some of you guys butthurt because every time I bring this up, a lot of butthurtness is there. So, the whole idea of breatharianism, which is not consuming physical dense foods anymore for survival and thriving. So that's an idea. I talk about it a lot. There's a lot of people talking about it now. More breatharians popping up everywhere, or people on the path. Uh, okay, so although I talk about it here, that's the idealist in me. No consumption is necessary. No consumption of any other living being. Let all beings live. Okay, so the idealist in me knows that this is actually the way it is, and in the Sat Yuga, that's the way it is. And when we get back to the Sat Yuga, nobody will be consuming nobody. No plants, no animals, nothing. It'll all just be pure harmony, and every being will get to experience everything. An animal will get to experience itself as that particular animal. A plant will get to experience itself as that particular plant, on and on. Okay. Now, but the pragmatist in me says, look, the world is not ready for that. So I know that's anytime there's butthurtness here about this topic, I just know, like, that's just like a snapshot of the fact that most of the world is not ready for that. It's not ready for that. So what would be the next logical step? The pragmatist in me will look and say, when I talk about breatharianism, I'm talking about it as the way it is, but I'm not preaching the whole world to be breatharian. The whole world's not ready for that. It's not ready. We're just coming out of the Kali Yuga. So I'm not, when I talk about breatharianism, notice that I never say the whole world should be, I never said ever, I never will actually say that the whole world should be breatharian. No, because the world's not ready. So the pragmatist in me understands that, okay, the next logical step right now would be to move into vegetarianism and veganism. That seems like the world is getting ready for that. Even now you have Beyond Meat Burger, etc. Okay, so then I get it. And so I support all these things. Vegetarian. Anytime somebody's lighting up their diet, that's very good. I know that you don't even need food. I know this because again, when I see it from that perspective, I'm seeing it from the Sat Yuga perspective, the ideal perspective. But the pragmatist in me says, look, we're just coming out of the age of darkness. The world's been asleep. What's the next logical step here that we're ready for? Okay, people just lighten up their diet, whatever it is, where they're coming from. That's the pragmatist, okay? So pragmatism is not being like, oh, it's the way it is. No, it's just knowing what is necessary next in this particular time, space, moment. That is the necessary step to move the world back into wholeness, into harmony, into the Sat Yuga. And that's why it's important to understand these cycles, and it's important to understand and study these 4 cycles in Hindu cosmology. They'll really help you gain a perspective on everything. And but then the idealist in me knows that actually, like, you don't even need to consume. That's one example, of course. One example. Another example is we want to eradicate all political borders and eradicate ethnicity and nationalism and all that's bullshit. I know the idealism is like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Borders, you're getting a pencil and drawing this and separating people and saying, this is my land, this is yours. It's absurd. But the pragmatist in me says, well, what's the next logical step? Okay, next logical step is unity on a smaller level, meaning you get the Arab countries, for example. Let the Arab countries unite amongst each other first. They can't even do that. Just one example, right? Why don't you get all 22 Arab countries to actually just be one country? That would be the first step. Get all Latin American countries to be one country. Get Canada, America to be one country. That kind of stuff. That would be the next logical step. Is like, okay, well, you're not gonna do it overnight. So maybe start talking about how, like, countries that are closer to one another, should maybe have more unity. And it's not like, can't say, oh, America, Canada should be one country. It's like, let's loosen up everything. Let's make it accessible. Like, it used to be that Canadians can go into the States without even their passport. Now it's not like that anymore. So actually, they tighten it up even more. But yeah, make stuff like that. These kinds of steps. Okay, allow Canadians to and Americans to go in freely, and let's, because you can't, as a Canadian, you can't spend more than 6 months in America. So let's get rid of stuff like that. Let's just allow Americans and Canadians can come in and out of the country as they wish, and they can stay for forever if they want. That it kind of starts like that, and it moves you. Then eventually, maybe 50, 100 years from now, America, Canada becomes one country. Next thing you know, oh well, okay, what about Mexico? Hey, but they speak Spanish. Oh, it's okay, it's okay. We'll also introduce Spanish here, and we'll just, we'll get people to learn Spanish, and we'll get them to learn English, and boom. Next thing you know, America, Canada, Mexico is one country. 100 years down the line, and then you see what I'm saying. That's the pragmatic thing to do. But the idealist thing to do is like, fuck yeah, like obviously was bullshit, is stupid. What is all this stupidity? The borders and me and you and this and that, right? So you gotta talk like an idealist and preach your ideas like an idealist. Show people what is possible. That this is actually Satyuga. This is like where we're heading. But then at the same time, take pragmatic steps in bringing that to existence. And so the pragmatic step requires you to see that you're planting a tree not for yourself, but uh, for your grandchildren to revel in, to take refuge in when it's a sunny day, right? Take refuge in its leaves, in its big leaves, and protecting you from the sun, in its shade, right? Because well, you don't grow the tree for yourself. It's for your grandchildren, but you are the grandchildren. It's like one consciousness, right? So it's you. You come back to experience. You're experiencing you in all these different manifestations. So really, you're planting the tree for you. So you're doing all this for you. So we've had all these idealists come. Martin Luther King, and I can think of so many here. And Bob Marley, right? They talked about this idealist stuff. They died. Some of them died for the ideals. Okay, but so you talk idealistically. You show what is possible. Yet at the same exact same time, you take pragmatic steps in making that happen. Pragmatic steps. So if, let's say, I was a politician in Canada right now, okay, I wouldn't suddenly come into parliament and say, guys, we should become one with the United States. That's not the pragmatic thing. The pragmatic thing would be to look for ways to loosen up any sort of complications that are put in place right now between the residents of this land and the resident of the land over there, which somebody drew with a pencil, saying, look, this is us, this is you. Oh yeah, we won. We kept you guys at bay. Because the way it happened is the British people were able to keep the Americans at bay, and that became Canada, and that became America, right? So anyway, so then if I was a politician right now, I wouldn't be like, okay guys, look, like we should just be one with America right now, right? Not gonna happen. No, I would look for ways to loosen that up, and when the world is more ready for more things, like first of all, Americans and Canadians should be allowed to go in and out of their countries with no passport, with nothing, just maybe a simple like, here, look, I exist type of thing, and like Canadians should be able to stay in America as long as they want, and vice versa. I mean, look, like, they speak the same language, like they have the same culture, same thing, and then take that, extrapolate that. Arab countries, same thing. Same thing. Latin countries, same thing. Right now, Europeans do a pretty decent job at that, don't they? I mean, you could, if you're a citizen of the EU, you could just freely travel in between, right? If I'm not mistaken. That's a good start. That's a good start, and it starts like that, and eventually the world will, when we get closer and closer to Sat Yuga, yeah, that all that stuff will be bullshit. It wouldn't even exist anymore. It would not be able to exist anymore, right? So so that's the balance. That's the dance of pragmatism, not realism. Pragmatism and idealism. Okay, pragmatism and idealism. So so yeah, that's about it. Thank you to all the patrons who support this channel, support the work that I do here. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome, and I love you. It's a big kiss. If you'd like to help me do this full time one time, be nice. Be nice. Be nice if I could do this full time. Okay, because I'm already like producing daily. If I do this full time, trust me. Oh, trust me, we'll take this to a whole new level. So, yeah, if you'd like to give something back, something as little as $2 a month, there is a Patreon link down below in the description, or you could do one-time things on PayPal if you want to give any one-time donation. Also on PayPal, down below in the description. Love you guys, and until next time, may the force be with you.